Welcome to Fred's 10-minute marketing courses.
Today we are discussing perfect parts don't make perfect cars. The Atomic Trap, written by Fred James.
So, if you are listening to this on your commute or, maybe you are just settling in at your desk with your morning coffee, I want you to picture a scenario. And it is probably going to feel a little too familiar.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Right. So think about a typical Tuesday. You log on, and almost immediately you are playing like the ultimate game of corporate whack-a-mole.
That's the perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, because a sudden system error pops up, you dive in, and you flawlessly fix it. And then, before you can even take a breath, someone from another department urgently needs a data report.
Always urgent, of course.
Always. And you pull it together in record time. So you spend the entire afternoon frantically crossing these tiny, seemingly critical items off your to-do list. And by the time 5 o'clock rolls around, you look at that list full of those satisfying strike-throughs, and you just feel this rush of pride.
You feel like a hero.
Exactly. You think, wow, I was incredibly efficient today. I conquered the day.
Which is a fantastic feeling. But I imagine it only lasts until you actually walk out of the office and get to your car.
Yeah, that is the harsh reality right there. Because the moment you step outside and, the adrenaline finally wears off, this quiet, nagging question creeps in.
The dread.
The total dread. You look back at the building and you start to wonder, well, I was running at full speed all day. I put out 100 fires, but did we actually move forward today?
Right. Did anything actually change?
Exactly. Did my team get even a single inch closer to our actual overarching goal?
And I can tell you, from a management perspective, that feeling you're describing, that sinking sensation of being incredibly busy but totally stuck, is universal.
Oh, for sure. It's everywhere.
It really is. It's actually one of the most common symptoms of a much larger structural trap, one that entire organizations just fall into without even realizing it.
And, in our discussion of Fred James' research today, our mission is to validate that exact feeling and ultimately help you break out of it.
Absolutely.
We want to help you regain control of the steering wheel in your daily work, show you how to stop hyper-focusing on those isolated details so you can start driving actual, meaningful progress.
But to understand how to break out of it, we first have to really understand why we do it in the first place.
Right. Why is it so tempting?
Well, it all comes down to a concept Fred James calls the atomic trap. And to be perfectly fair to everyone listening, the impulse to break things down is completely natural.
It's human nature.
Exactly. It actually has a very real, very practical utility. Think about when you were staring down a massive, intimidating, multi-million-dollar project. Or maybe you were trying to launch a brand new product into a completely unknown market.
Just thinking about that makes me stressed.
Right. Human beings naturally freeze in those situations. We just get entirely overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the unknown.
So we lean on the classic productivity advice, right? The stuff we have all been taught since school.
Yep, take that massive, terrifying goal and break it down.
Right. You chop it up into tiny, easily executable, atomic, small tasks, which is brilliant for overcoming procrastination because it tricks your brain into taking that terrifying first step without just panicking.
It is highly effective for getting started. But that very same mechanism, that instinct, is exactly where the trap snaps shut.
Let me tell you what is actually happening in your biology when that trap closes. Because completing those small atomic tasks triggers a very real physiological reaction.
Oh, the dopamine.
Yes, the dopamine. Every single time you cross an item off your to-do list or, you clear that little red notification bubble on your screen, your brain releases a hit of dopamine.
It feels so good.
It does. It is a survival mechanism that rewards completion. But over time, you literally become addicted to these small wins. That steady drip of dopamine creates this incredibly powerful, intoxicating illusion of progress.
You feel like you are conquering the world.
Right, but your hyper-focus on the micro level is entirely blinding you to the macro level reality.
It's like you are so focused on chopping the individual pieces of wood perfectly that you do not realize you were standing in the wrong forest entirely.
That is such a good way to put it. Think about your own digital workspace right now, or maybe how you organize your research, because it often turns into a form of digital hoarding.
Oh, I am definitely guilty of this sometimes.
I see this all the time in marketing. People build these unbelievably intricate databases of atomic files. Every single trend report they read is perfectly categorized, color-coded, and tagged with beautiful cross-references.
Yeah, what's amazing.
It does. And they spend like 10 hours a week just optimizing their filing system. But just because you have perfectly organized a massive database of small data points does not mean you have actually mastered the subject.
No, it certainly doesn't.
It definitely does not mean you have built a cohesive, original campaign strategy. You just have a very tidy, perfectly sorted pile of data.
And that beautifully sets up the core metaphor of Fred James' research here. You can spend all day manufacturing and polishing individual items to absolute perfection. But assembling a pile of individually perfect car parts does not automatically give you a perfectly functioning car.
No, you just have parts.
Exactly. You can have the most aerodynamically flawless bumper, right? You can have a pristine, state-of-the-art engine block and a perfectly hand-stitched leather steering wheel.
Sounds like a great car.
Right. But if they do not integrate with each other, if they do not fit the actual specific blueprint of the vehicle you need to build today, you just have a very expensive pile of metal sitting on the factory floor.
You win all the small daily battles, but you completely lose the war because you lack a comprehensive view.
Precisely. You completely lose the war.
So, let's look at the human element of this. Because if you have a team that is heads down, happily executing these small tasks, getting their daily dopamine hits, and feeling super productive, stopping that momentum sounds like a nightmare for a manager.
Oh, it is.
I mean, how do you even step in front of that speeding train?
It is arguably one of the absolute hardest things a leader has to do. I mean, picture the scene. You are looking at your project dashboard, and it's just a glorious sea of green check marks.
Everyone's dream.
Exactly. Your team is highly motivated. They're executing their atomic tasks perfectly. Everyone is high-fiving at the water cooler. But as the leader, your primary responsibility is not to get down on the floor and help them polish those individual parts even faster.
Right, that's not your job.
Your job is to maintain what we call the bird's eye view.
Well,
You have to hover above the daily grind, look at the horizon, and ask the difficult question. Wait, are we even on the right path?
Because if the answer is no, it really does not matter how shiny the parts are.
It doesn't matter at all. And Fred James uses a brilliant sports analogy to illustrate how jarring this realization can be.
Okay, lay it on me.
Imagine a highly dedicated sprinter who just lost a major race. The natural atomic level instinct for both the coach and the athlete is to immediately analyze the granular details.
Like watching the tape in slow motion.
Exactly. They pull up the tape and look at the milliseconds. Did the athlete push off the starting block 0.1 seconds too late? Did they eat the wrong ratio of carbohydrates the night before?
Wow, getting really into the weeds.
Were their shoelaces tied with too much tension? I mean, that is the atomic focus. Let's optimize the sprint.
But the overarching physiological view tells a completely different story, doesn't it?
It really does. If you, as the coach, take a step back and use that bird's eye view, you might look at that athlete's overarching physiology. You analyze their muscle structure, their bone density, the ratio of fast twitch to slow twitch muscle fibers, and their aerobic stamina.
And what do you find?
You suddenly realize a painful truth. They should not be sprinting at all.
Wait, really?
Yeah. They are biologically built from the ground up to be a marathon runner. So optimizing their block start is a complete and total waste of their underlying potential.
Okay, I'm going to pull us out of the sports arena for a second and drop us right into a 9 a.m. Monday morning stand-up meeting.
All right, let's do it.
Practically speaking, for the listener who is managing a team right now, if optimizing the wrong track just accelerates failure, how does a leader actually communicate this massive pivot without completely destroying team morale?
It's a great question.
Because you have a team that firmly believes they are sprinters, they love sprinting, they just bought brand new sprinting shoes, and they are getting faster. How do you walk into that room and tell them to stop everything and go run a marathon?
Yeah, that is tough. It really requires a leader to be willing to absorb a lot of frustration in the short term, because people are going to be upset.
I would be upset.
Right. You have to pull them out of the weeds and show them the entire map. You have to clearly communicate that winning a sprint on the wrong track eventually leads the entire team to a dead end.
You have to show them the bigger picture.
Exactly. Once they see the marathon finish line, and you explain why their unique skills and the market conditions are actually better suited for that longer race, the morale eventually rebuilds around the correct objective. But you just cannot avoid that initial friction.
So let's say you are that coach. You look at the marathon finish line, and you look back at your newly minted marathon runner. What do you do with all those perfectly polished sprinting cleats and starting blocks?
You have to get rid of them.
But how do you justify killing something they worked so incredibly hard on?
Well, this is where we encounter the pain of pruning. And it is where Fred James introduces one of the most striking insights of his entire analysis. He draws a hard, definitive line between two concepts that the corporate world constantly mixes up:
Okay, what are they?
judgment quality and decision quality.
See, those sound like synonyms to me.
They do, but the distinction is actually a matter of corporate life and death.
Wow. Okay, so judgment quality is essentially about accurate foresight, right?
Correct.
It is your professional analysis in a vacuum. So, if you are a marketer, a perfect judgment would be accurately predicting a massive shift in consumer behavior like 5 years before it actually happens.
Yeah.
You look at the data, you spot the trend, and you recognize that a specific new technology is absolutely going to change the world. Your judgment is your vision, and it can be flawlessly accurate.
It can be perfect. But decision quality, on the other hand, is vastly messier.
Because it has to deal with the real world.
Exactly. Decisions do not get to live in a vacuum. A decision has to survive in reality. It has to account for harsh, unforgiving constraints.
Like what?
Well, when you make a decision, you have to factor in your current operating budget. You have to look at the company's immediate cash flow. You have to consider the technical limitations of the engineering department down the hall.
Oh, that's a big one.
And you have to know whether your sales team actually knows how to sell this new vision.
Meaning you can have a perfect visionary judgment, but if you act on it without considering the messy reality of your current ecosystem, it translates into a catastrophic decision.
Yes, a perfect judgment can easily lead to a fatal decision. And to really cement how this works in practice, we should look at one of the most classic high-stakes examples in tech history.
Oh, I love a good tech story.
Let's rewind to Apple in 1993.
Oh, you were talking about the Newton PDA, right?
That is the one. So in 1993, Apple's marketing and product teams looked at the computing landscape, and they made a judgment.
And what was it?
They judged that a handheld mobile computing device with a screen and a stylus was the undeniable future of consumer technology. They believed people wanted computing power in their pockets, not just on their desks.
And from a pure judgment standpoint, they were completely right.
Totally right.
I mean, it was flawless foresight. That exact concept quite literally paved the way for the iPhone. They saw the future of mobile computing, clearly.
Their judgment was perfect.
Mhm.
But fast forward 4 years to 1997. Steve Jobs returns to Apple.
Okay.
He looks at this brilliant piece of technology,
Yeah.
this perfect judgment, and he makes the brutal, incredibly painful decision to kill the Newton entirely. He shuts it down.
Which must have looked like absolute madness to the engineers who had poured years of their lives into perfecting those atomic parts.
Oh, they were furious.
I bet. I mean, why would a visionary leader kill the future? But, let's look at the actual landscape of 1997. The internet was barely crawling along on dial-up connections.
Yeah.
There was no ubiquitous Wi-Fi, no cloud ecosystem to support a truly mobile computing lifestyle. And more importantly, Apple was bleeding cash. They were dangerously close to bankruptcy.
That was the messy reality.
Mm.
Steve Jobs realized that if he kept funding this perfect judgment, the company would go bankrupt before the future ever arrived.
Wow.
The ecosystem just could not support the vision yet. So he had to make a high-quality decision that sacrificed a high-quality judgment. He killed the Newton, pooled every scrap of remaining engineering and marketing resources, and bet the survival of the entire company on the first-generation iMac.
A desktop computer.
A brightly colored desktop computer that generated immediate, massive cash flow.
Which is exactly what they needed.
Exactly. That decision saved the company from the brink. It built the financial foundation, the war chest, that allowed Apple to survive until the ecosystem was actually ready.
That makes so much sense.
And a decade later, with the infrastructure in place and massive cash reserves in the bank, that original Newton judgment was reborn as the iPhone.
That is such a powerful takeaway for you as a listener. When you are looking at a project on your desk or a new feature you are developing, you do not evaluate that part by asking, is it perfect?
Because that is falling right back into the atomic trap.
Exactly. You have to ask, does this contribute to the overall survival and direction of the team right now in this current environment? If it does not, it has to go, no matter how beautifully designed it is.
The pain of pruning is very real, but it is the only way the overall tree survives and bears fruit.
So I want to pause here and advocate for the beginner listener for a second, because this all sounds incredibly strategic, right?
Sure.
We are talking about Steve Jobs, massive corporate survival, and killing major product lines.
It's big picture stuff.
Right. So what if I am not sitting in the C-suite? What if I am a junior employee, a frontline marketing coordinator, or a mid-level designer? Shouldn't I just keep my head down, mind my own business, and polish my assigned atomic part to 200% perfection?
It's a fair question.
Isn't it exclusively my manager's job to worry about the big picture and the cash flow?
I hear that all the time. That is a very common defense mechanism. But Fred James firmly debunks the myth that big picture thinking is only for executives.
Oh, really?
Yeah, believing that is actually detrimental to your own career and to the company's bottom line. He uses a fantastic manufacturing assembly line analogy to explain why.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's say you work at station number 4 on a massive assembly line. You decide to put your head down, ignore everyone else, and optimize your single station.
Makes sense so far.
You work brilliantly, you find new efficiencies, and suddenly you are producing your specific part twice as fast as the person at station number 3, and twice as fast as the person at station number 5.
Wow, okay. You probably feel like a rock star. You just doubled your output. You were just waiting for your promotion.
You feel incredibly productive. But what have you actually done to the overarching system?
I don't know, made it better.
No, you have not improved efficiency at all, because station number 5 cannot process your parts fast enough. Those parts do not just disappear.
Oh, right. They just pile up.
Exactly. You have just created a massive backlog of physical inventory sitting on the factory floor. You have taken the company's liquid cash flow and trapped it in unfinished goods that cannot be sold.
That's terrible.
You have created a severe system bottleneck, all because you optimized your atomic part without looking at the capacity of the whole line.
Okay, to bring that out of the factory and into an office setting, consider the example of a political speechwriter.
Oh, this is a great one.
Right. Imagine you are hired to write a keynote speech for a major political candidate. You lock yourself in a quiet room, you ignore the chaos of the rest of the campaign, and you craft the most beautiful, flawlessly rhetorical speech in modern history.
The prose is inspiring.
Yes. The pauses are timed to the millisecond.
A perfect atomic part.
Exactly. But it is completely useless if the campaign lacks an overarching strategy to promote it.
Right.
If the event coordinator hasn't booked a venue with good acoustics, and the press secretary hasn't invited the media, and the marketing team hasn't bought any downstream ad space to click the highlights, your beautiful speech is going to be delivered to an empty room in a local gymnasium.
And nobody will hear it.
Exactly. Your 200% perfection yielded zero actual impact on the election.
This is exactly why Fred James introduces the absolute necessity of what he calls upstream and downstream awareness.
Okay, break that down for us.
It does not matter where you sit in the corporate hierarchy. To truly add value, every single worker must actively cultivate this awareness. You need to look upstream. Who is handing this work to me? And what state is it in? What constraints are they working under?
That makes sense.
And crucially, you must look downstream. Who is going to receive my work next? How exactly will they use it? What ultimate customer problem does my small piece eventually solve?
And cultivating that awareness changes absolutely everything about how you approach your desk every morning.
It really does.
Like, if you take the time to find out that your beautiful, meticulously researched 50-page report is just going to be distilled into a single visual slide for a B2B client presentation downstream, you stop wasting 10 hours formatting the margins of the report.
That is such a huge waste of time.
Right. Instead, you spend 1 hour giving the design team the 3 exact data points they need for that slide. You stop playing whack-a-mole and you start actually driving the car toward the destination.
That upstream and downstream awareness is what separates the people who just complete tasks from the people who actually drive the business forward and become invaluable to an organization.
Well, when we look at the modern workplace, Fred James offers a synthesis that I think perfectly encapsulates our entire discussion today. He states, "Tools are accelerators, not steering wheels."
I love that quote.
It's so true, because we live in an era that is completely obsessed with tools. Project management software, agile methodologies, digital Kanban boards, automated time tracking apps.
Everyone loves a new app.
They do. And these tools are fantastic. They will absolutely make the engine of your car run faster and more efficiently. But they are completely blind. They do not steer the car.
No, they don't.
If your corporate strategy is pointed directly toward a cliff, project management software is just going to help you drive off that cliff at double the speed.
That is a critical distinction, especially when we look at where the future of work is heading right now. Based on Fred James' research, we have to talk about the role of artificial intelligence.
Oh, AI, yes.
If you think about it, AI is rapidly becoming the ultimate, undefeated optimizer of atomic tasks.
It really is.
It's the ultimate accelerator tool. You need flawless, bug-free code written in seconds. AI can do it. You need grammatically perfect marketing copy targeted at a highly specific B2C demographic.
AI can generate 50 different variations for A/B testing before you have even finished your morning coffee.
Exactly. It is the ultimate whack-a-mole player.
It never gets tired and it never misses a mole.
Never. AI is going to completely take over the optimization of those perfectly polished car parts. Therefore, our unique human value, the reason we are paid to be at the desk in the first place, is no longer about how fast we can polish the individual parts.
So what is our value then?
Our value lies entirely in our ability to hold the steering wheel. Our professional survival depends on our upstream and downstream awareness.
That is a big shift.
It is our distinctly human ability to look at the messy, emotional reality of constrained budgets and fragile team morale, to step back into the bird's eye view, and to understand the big picture well enough to ensure that the AI is building parts for the right vehicle.
So the people who thrive in the next decade won't be the ones crossing the most items off their to-do list. It will be the ones who possess the judgment and the decision quality to know which tasks actually matter. And that leaves us with a final thought for you to carry into your workday. Next time you open your laptop and look at your to-do list, pick the very first item and ask yourself a radical question.
All right.
If I intentionally fail at this task today, does the overall project still survive? If the answer is yes, then you have to ask yourself why it is consuming your prime mental energy in the first place. Are you driving the car or are you just playing whack-a-mole?
Thank you for listening. If you have any thoughts on today's episode or marketing topics, feel free to leave a comment below the video. This is Fred's 10-Minute Marketing Courses. See you next time.